There you
Whoa.
go.
Okay, everyone
You
behave.
just
You're being recorded.
absolutely right. It would all be on
Always.
mind our P's and Q's now then.
That's right.
That's right.
And as I say, it's past probably a difficult time for governors, as I say. I don't know if anybody went to John Eberhard's celebration live yesterday from here, or did they watch it on the YouTube?
Mhm.
Um, so it's a very sad day for Rotarians. As many of you know, he was an RI director and had been a Rotarian for more years than I care to remember. And I wondered whether, before we actually start the meeting, we should actually have a moment of silence. And secondly, afterwards, perhaps one or two of us might want to share some anecdotes about John. If you would bear with me, I think we should have a moment of silence now, if you'd like. Thank you for that. As I say, I didn't know John very well, but I did talk to him when I was going to be when I was nominated to be district governor, and I sought some counsel from him, like I sought from many other past district governors. And he was very engaging and very thoughtful, and gave me lots of stage advice. So I will always remember him from that and many things he said. What was interesting when I was in Singapore at the convention, I'm getting on the underground there, and a lady, we just strike up a conversation on the train, and she's also a convention goer. And it turned out she said, "Where are you from?" And exchanged pleasantries. I'm from Ontario, and she said, "Did you know John Eberhard?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And she said, "Well, I met him many years ago, and I'm thinking the place was Mongolia or somewhere like that where he was, and she'd met him there on a project, and she said, would I send my best regards to him? So when I came back from Singapore this year, I wrote to John and told her I'd met this lady, and he was thrilled, and it was just an odd connection, that I could have been a minute later getting on the train and never met this lady, and then I could make that connection. So I just thought, it's like the degrees of separation we talk about. Anybody else would like to share a thought about John?
Well,
He
I've
was
got a bunch of
good.
stories, but I'll narrow it down to one. Um, John was the district governor a couple of years after I joined Rotary, and so the first I met him was at his official visit. But he kind of talked me into coming to his district conference, which would have been the first district conference I'd ever attended. So, and it was in London. They were holding it out at the fairgrounds at the time. So, um, my wife and I jumped in our car. We couldn't go on Friday. We had to wait until Saturday to head up. And so I walk into the arena there at the fairgrounds where John was talking, and I just everybody was already going, everybody was already talking, and I just wanted to get a little seat in the back and listen. And I walked in the door, and somebody handed John a note at the podium, and it said Clio is here. And John's goal was to have a representative from every club in the district. And I was the last club. And so everybody got up and gave a rounding applause. And I went home that day and I told Eileen, I says, man, I got to stay in this organization. They gave me a rounding ovation. So that was John.
Mhm.
It was interesting. They talked about that convention. David Elliott spoke at the Celebration of Life yesterday, and I watched it on YouTube. And he spoke about it being the largest in-person conference the district had, and how John was so proud of it. Till then, David reminded him that in the Zoom era, we had bigger conferences.
Well, I tell you what, I beat John in the number of people that attended. I was just shy, I think 498, just shy of 500.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But John definitely beat me as the number of people attended,
Yeah, that's right.
or
And the
the
other thing
number of
which
clubs that attended. Yeah,
yeah, and the other thing which I hadn't realized that David, when I was doing the sort of a story on behalf of Rotary at the Celebration of Life, apparently he had been instrumental in starting, I think, 13 or 14 different clubs,
yeah.
which is a remarkable achievement. Jim.
I had the privilege of meeting John in Moncton, New Brunswick. He was director when I was governor, and he was a centennial director. And John, he was just a different person in his stature, in the way that he communicated, in his focus. He was an incredible guy. And I tell you, I hadn't seen him in a number of years until last conference when he was on the Zoom call. And he was every bit as much that person during that meeting. And he was very focused in his comments, very reflective and eloquent. And that's just the way I always remember John. And I was so lucky to have him as a director when I was governor. I always appreciated that. He and Monty Ardenot, well, Monty was a trainer at that point, but it was.
Monty was my trainer, and John was on. And this might be interesting to some of you that weren't around in those days. At one time, our district was in two zones simultaneously.
Yep.
The Rotarians, the governors from the Michigan side, were in. Jim and I were in the same zone there, and then on the Canadian side, we were also in that other district. So I think Jim, probably me too, went to both.
Yeah,
both zone institutes, right?
Yeah,
and Moncton was one of them.
Yep.
Anybody else would like to say anything?
So I have been fortunate to have John as a mentor. I really miss him. We had tea just a few weeks ago, and he gave me a bag of his Rotary ties and asked me to do something with them during my DG year. And so, I started pulling them out, and he knew every tie. He knew the year, he knew the district governor, he knew the RI president, and he knew the theme. It was just remarkable.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with them?
Well, that's a good question, Dennis. Catherine has given me a good idea that perhaps we'll investigate further. He had asked me to give a tie at every club that I presented at. And so I'm thinking, you want these, they're a real memento, right? You don't want them just to be packed away into a drawer. So I was thinking, I could have John sign a card for each tie. We had already made arrangements to have tea again in January. But then Catherine mentioned perhaps making a quilt out of all of his ties and then auctioning the quilt off at our district conference. So perhaps, I'll talk to Fran about it. That might be a good route to go. be a very historical, very meaningful, I think. Thank you for that, Catherine.
Yeah.
And it was funny. John had lots of advice for me, and honestly, he really encouraged me to step up, and he and Al Hardy, and that really did help me make up my mind. So, this is just a couple weeks ago. We're having tea and we're talking about the district conference. Of course, district conference was a big subject. And he said, well, Lorna, it's time for some tough love here. You're already 6 months behind. And I went, oh, what?
Yep.
You have got to be kidding me. My district conference isn't until 2027, I think. He went, oh, I thought you were coming in this year. Who's ahead of you? I said, Jeff is. Okay, you're fine then.
Yeah,
But,
now Jeff's 6 months behind.
But I just thought, even in tough love, he is so gracious.
Yeah.
Lorna,
if you do anything with those ties, try to document what years they are and then put out that list to us, because I've got a boatload of ties.
Oh boy, have we started something here?
Okay. Well, it's an opportunity to memorialize because really, they aren't doing international themes anymore, are they?
No.
So
that's not true. They're not doing presidential themes anymore. They're still doing international themes. So it's just that the RI president doesn't select the theme.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's still going to be a theme. It just won't be the president's.
Yeah.
I have, every time I went to see John, he would have binders and bags of stuff for me. And we didn't make it to the garage. That was my next trip. Okay, Lorna, it's time to go to the garage. So the archives, the historical, it's a wealth of information. I don't know if there's any use for that. I certainly don't want to just throw it out, but if it doesn't have any, I could digitize it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, another thing about John is that he was basically running out of his office, the Rotary Foundation Canada.
Correct.
And there are probably a lot of valuable things in that collection.
Yeah, well, exactly, Dennis. I'll try to get through it and kind of get it sorted as to what is in there. But yeah, he was cleaning out his Rotary. I think he had 3 filing cabinets. He was going through and trying to, throw stuff out and give the rest to me, I guess.
Right.
But I miss him, that's for sure. Our last visit, I thought, oh boy, how much longer is this going to go on? And he had all of his Christmas presents done, all of his nieces and nephews, and he said, Lorna, I know. He said, I'm at peace. I'm good to go. And so we talked about how comforting that would be for his family. Yeah, big presence. Really going to be missed. Really is missed.
Yeah.
And not only at Rotary, the impact of the Eberhardt family, the Eberhardt Foundation at First St. Andrews, and the music program in London is remarkable.
Yeah. And those sort of things I didn't realize until I watched the service yesterday. So yeah. It was remarkable, his impact.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is there anybody else who'd like to say anything before we start the meeting? Okay. Well, thank you everybody for sharing your thoughts. And it's a sad day, but they celebrated it well yesterday, and I'm just pleased to have known him. So if we can move to the agenda, if I can find it. So I'm standing in. For some reason, when you become the past district governor council chair, you seem to keep getting dragged back to chair the meetings. Diane is technically the chair, but she's vacationing. So she asked me would I do it. So you lumbered with me this morning. So welcome on behalf of Diane and myself. We typically do introductions. Well, you know me, but I'm Tony Sheard. I'm past district governor from 2019 20 and the first hybrid governor at that, and I'm from Southampton Rotary Club. So we'll feel people to chime in. I've got Catherine next to me on my screen.
Oh, what was your theme, Tony? I've forgotten.
Oh, Rotary Connects the World.
Your Connects the World. Okay. I'm Catherine Hahn. I am the current district governor 24-25 from the Rotary Club of Stratford. And our theme is the magic of Rotary this year.
Great. Jim, do you want to go?
Sure. I'm Jim Ives. I'm from the St. Clair Rotary Club. I was the Centennial Governor with Al Hardy, and our theme was Celebrate Rotary.
Okay. Nancy?
Okay, Nancy Ottewell, 6330 Passport Club currently, and I started out with the Heifer-Shallig Rotary Club, which has now folded. And I was district governor 2015, 2016, and our theme was Be a Gift to the World.
Okay, Dennis.
Dennis Dinsmore. Had to think of my own year. 05-06. I mopped up after Al Hardy and Jim Ives.
Yep.
So that was a good year. And our theme was service above self, believe it or not. There nothing exciting about that theme, but that was what it was. And I'm from the Genesee Valley Club. At the time, I was with the Clio Club.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. Michael Atkins.
Michael Atkins, Thornbury Clarksburg Rotary Club. Year was 10-11 and building communities and bridging continents.
Okay, Sonia's next up.
Rotary Club of Meaford, 23-24, create hope in the world.
Yeah. Lorna.
DGN, my DG year is 2026-27. Not sure what the theme will be.
Okay, something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Have I missed anybody? Seeing none, that's good. So thank you, everybody. As any additions to the agenda anybody wants to make? Good. Can I have somebody to approve the agenda as written then? Thank you, Sonia. Who says somebody? Second. Dennis will second that. All those in favour? Excellent. Aye. Super. Approval of the minutes of the June 21st, 2024, and that's when most of us was together at Owen Sound, and a few were online, courtesy of Dennis's Zoom link, I think. So, can I have a proposal that we take them first? Don't all shout one. Thanks, Dennis. A seconder. Thank you, Catherine. All those in favour? Good. Thank you so much. And thank you, Lorna, for writing them. They were probably the most comprehensive minutes we've had for a long time. What we didn't tell you is we try and restrict the minutes of this meeting to no more than 2 pages, but we've now got something to look back upon. So there you go.
Sorry, Tony. The overachiever in me.
District Governor report, then Catherine.
Okay, great. So it's been a pretty amazing journey the last 5 months. I've had the privilege of visiting 53 now clubs and 1 Rotaract, so just a couple left. I was supposed to be in Drayton on Monday and that got canceled for a very good reason. So just a couple left. It's really been an incredible experience. Lots of opportunities for growth and some connection and learning. I would say one of the best parts of visiting the clubs is just discovering how unique each club is, but at the same time, how we all celebrate and share the values of service. The kindness and hospitality that's been shown to me has been amazing. So Some of you on the call here hosted me while I was traveling. Jim and Diane had put me up for almost a full week, I think. Mike Chapey again for another week. I stayed with Sonia, Tony, and Sylvia. Thank you for opening your home as well. And I got to spend a night with Dennis and his lovely wife. So that was really lovely. And thank you to everybody for opening up your homes to me. I would say that over the last 20 years, I've gradually found this voice as a leader. I was kind of the quiet observer in the back of the room when I first joined Rotary, and I feel like I'm a little more confident now. Standing in front of a crowd doing a talk was very intimidating for me, and I still think I get some flutters when I'm doing my talks, but I've been told that perhaps that's just because I'm an adrenaline junkie now, and that's really what it is, not nerves. That's the adventurous side of me, of course, the one who jumps out of airplanes and things like that. So behind the scenes, our team, our governor team, Jeff, Lorna, and now Don Kennedy, we're continuing to work. We meet bi-weekly. We're talking about membership strategies, and we're working on the newly formed Environment and International Service Committee. So we got a lot going on. Of course, visioning is still something we're working hard on that Sonia spearheaded back last year. We have a new leadership team there, Sonia, Don Kennedy, and Heather Curran Heather's from Hanover, right, Sonia? And so together they've already helped about a half a dozen clubs to shape their future. And then we've got about, I think as I've been going through my club visits, I've been talking about visioning, and we've got probably another 8 to 10 that are sort of waiting for us to resume our visioning in the spring. So yeah, visioning's coming along very nicely. What else? We've got a great district committees lined up that are supporting not just the governor team, but of course all of the clubs. We've got some really amazing Rotarians in those roles, and I think the future of 6330 is looking bright. I am particularly grateful to Myrna, who has stepped in with both feet to help me with secretarial duties. They're trying to keep schedules in place and Zoom calls ordered and all that sort of thing, getting the correspondence out to the district. So that's been amazing. And also Mike Chafee stepped in to be the treasurer this year. And that's been a little bit challenging for him. Harry Houston, who was the treasurer and then was going to step in as finance chair, has had some personal issues that have prevented him from doing that. And at the same time, we were trying to transition to bookkeeping services. Lorna recommended Trillium bookkeeping services for us. And so getting all of that put together and figuring out where things were, picking up the pieces between Harry, Mike, and then getting things to Trillium has been a bit of a process, but we're up and running now. And the process will be expenses submitted by the end of the month, checks issued by the 15th. So hopefully that's a process that will work successfully for us. So again, a big thanks to Mike. He's got district invoices ready to go out next week. And I know we've had some clubs looking for that invoice, maybe not looking forward to it, but looking for it at any rate. What else? District conference, full swing with the preparations for that. That's May 2nd to 4th at the Arden. We're working with all of the Area 3 clubs to put together that partnership that's going to make it a successful event. We've had more than 50 people register so far, which I think is a good head start. And we're working hard to make it a memorable experience. So hopefully, well, I think most of you on the call have already registered, but if not, you can go ahead and get that done. There's still some rooms at the Arden Park, so sign up. And just thank you for all your warm wishes and your encouragement. It's always great to have the support of past district governors. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Catherine. Any questions of Catherine?
Maybe I can ask, probably I should be asking Jeff this more than you, but how are you coming on? You've got some significant jobs to replace this year, the treasurer, and I believe David Elliott's 3-year stint is up as well. What's going on with all that?
I think I can tell you some of those answers. Sonia is going to step in as our foundation chair, district foundation chair. Al Tucker has agreed that when he has finished his term as Area 7 AG, he will take the treasurer role on, which is why Mike has agreed to be that interim treasurer. This week, I think we made some really good progress with AGs. We now have Lauren thinks she's got an Area 4 AG. We've got 7. We think we've got 9 as well. So we had 5 roles to fill, and I think we've got 3 of those covered for sure. So that's looking very positive as well. I think
very good.
Major, it would be great if we could find somebody who would take up the PIPR role, because and Tony and I were just on a Zoom call. We're doing a Zoom about that on Monday about PIPR, because I think it's something that's really the clubs in the district could really use some help and some support with. So for me, that's the big push that I have, is trying to find that person. I think Sonia had her hand up first, Lorna, and then we'll go to you, if that's okay. Where are you, Sonia? Oh.
Thanks, Catherine. Just if you could let me know the clubs that are looking at visioning, we can start booking and looking for our facilitators for those clubs. Thanks.
I can share that with you. They are in our agenda. You'll find them there. So, but yes, I can send those to you. Yeah, Lorna.
And we need a membership chair.
And we need a membership chair.
Yeah. So I think that next year, July 1st, 2025 to the end of the year, I would be able to work with someone, but then, I'm going to be getting busier. So it'd be nice to have that transition period so that, whoever steps in is good to go then for 26.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Yeah, whoever, whenever.
Yeah.
Thanks, Laura. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Catherine and Boa, for all of us, for the work you're doing. And as I say, it usually gets quieter as you approach your district conference, and then it all starts again for that. So I enjoyed your visits here, and and Sylvia and I enjoyed hosting you. So continue, and as I say, it should be good. So we don't have a report from Jeff. Jeff is actually having shoulder surgery as we speak, I understand. Do you have any update from him, Catherine?
Not really. We've been working on Great Lakes. They're calling it PELS this year. Sonia, you'll be happy to know that that they've changed it from training to learning. So Great Lakes PELS, we have, I think I've stepped in to help him with his district training role. Mike Chapey's there as well, but he would prefer not to be the lead on that. So we meet bi-weekly with the Great Lakes folks. This year they're doing things a little bit differently, in that one of the challenges we had last year was we didn't know how much repetition there was of material between what Great Lakes PELS was offering and what we had as a district were offering for learning. And so we have 3 modules that the Great Lakes PELS have created that we're all going to learn and do the facilitation for those. And that'll sort of be common material, but shared with all of the districts in separate rooms. So that reduces the hours that we have for district only to about, I think it's 4.5. So now that we have that framework to go with, Jeff and I and Mike will come up with what that additional learning is going to look like. We struggled a little bit last year with doing in hands-on entering goals in Rotary Club Central. So I'm not sure, we're still talking about how we're going to make that work. There just doesn't seem to have been a really good solution over the last few years about making that happen, whether it's using the AGs or doing it in person or doing it virtually. So I don't know what the right solution is to that. If anyone has any suggestions, we would be open to hearing about that.
Catherine, I almost wonder, I don't know if entering the goals is the hard part. I think coming up with the goals is the hard part. So I think that if you can try and facilitate a way to get all the presidents-elect to think about what their goals should be, ask them to bring it, and then have that discussion, they can frame it out. And basically you've got, 6 areas that you're entering into Rotary Club Central? 6 or 8. But if you take those and try and get them to come out of Pels with that, I think that will help.
Right.
And then maybe you do an online virtual demonstration to help them, and then while they're on there, just go ahead and put them in.
Yeah.
Okay, good suggestions.
I particularly think that Rotary International's decision to call it Club Excellence versus Club Citation is a very clever move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that
Yeah.
there's much else I could tell you about what Jeff might have told you. We talked about finance and Great Lakes Pels, which seem to be his two major focus right now, foci, I guess you call them.
Yeah.
And he is excited about going to International Assembly in January. That's in Florida again
Yeah.
for him. So he's excited about that. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And he says he's only going to need a couple of days to recuperate from his surgery, so he'll be back on the calls next week.
Excellent. So thank you for that. District Foundation report. David's on a plane back from London down to Florida. So he was at the funeral yesterday. So that's why he's not here. He sent a written report, which was effectively printouts from the Rotary Foundation on the district and a summary of the district grant position for this year. Are any questions or any thoughts that we may have, or questions we want to relay to David from you? No, lots of shaking of heads. So I'm hearing none. I think the only one that I would, because I asked him to point it out, because some of you may have not seen it, or you may have all seen it. There was a little bit of media attention concerning a family squabble, I can only describe it as, for a family estate. And the a guy, I'm just trying to think of his name, in his will bequeathed a substantial sum of money to the Rotary Foundation Canada. And this is a number of years ago. And the family have been disputing the donation to the foundation for a number of years. And as part of that, it's gathered in the last couple of months a lot of media attention, both in the UK and in Canada. I don't know why it got to the UK, but it was picked up in the UK and certainly in Canada. And there was a lot of, I'll say, for want of a better expression, bad mouthing of the Rotary Foundation, when the actual situation is not quite like that. The Rotary Foundation did not know that this person had bequeathed them a substantial sum of money initially. And I think you can only characterize it in the fact that a person made a will, he bequeathed it to the Rotary Foundation. The Rotary Foundation didn't know at the time. And like anything, unless somebody alters their will, that will is how the proceeds of the estate should be distributed. So there's a lot of argument going on within the family with the executors of the will, and unfortunately Rotary's been brought into it. So I just share that with you, and that was in the note that David sent out, but that's the only thing that I think you should be aware of. And certainly I've had a couple of my club members who have sent me social media clips and things and said, what's this all about? So, we've tried to explain to them that, the Rotary Foundation is effectively the innocent victim in this thing, but it's been badmouthed quite a lot by social media people and by some of the media. Anybody else want to jump in and make a comment?
Well, one thing that I'll say about that, Tony, is that when I was serving as the RFC for this zone, it was drummed into me and my fellow RFCs is that Rotary doesn't chase people for bequeaths. And in this case, it's quite often, believe it or not, they don't even know that something has been put in the will.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right that I mean, just on the face of it, there's no way that Rotary is trying to
Yeah.
extract money from a widow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a family issue, and whatever Rotary ends up with is more than they started with.
That's exactly right, and that's exactly how I see it, Dennis. And I know family squabbles over wills happen all the time.
Yep.
And I think what they're trying to do, though, is because Rotary is a fairly large organization, they're trying to, name and shame a little bit, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay. Seeing nobody else looks interested in saying that's good. So thank you for David for sending all that information out to us.
I think Michael wants to say something.
Oh, sorry, Michael, I missed you.
Well, I think in that regard, it all started with some misleading press right at the start, and everybody jumped on it. They made it sound like the Rotary Foundation was fighting the widow, and Rotary Foundation had nothing to do with it, but it was read that way. Now, the press releases that I've seen later cleared us up quite a bit, but that's not going to help make the first one disappear.
That's exactly right. Don't get in don't spoil a good story for the facts. That's the situation, I think.
I think that's true.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. Okay, let's move on then to the council. And just to Jim reminds me that it's council on legislation rather than off. So there you go. Thanks, Jim. As I say, I will be attending the in-person council legislation in April. It's the week before Easter next year, and we've both myself and Martin, who is the alternate, have done our training. We reviewed the council on resolutions, and there were 86 submissions, and it was interesting that the legislation was 86 submissions, so we're in the process of reviewing those. I did send it out to every club member and say if anybody wants to comment or anything, there's a free. So far, I've heard nothing from anybody, but we were asked to do that. Regarding the council resolutions, there was actually 44, and we voted online for that. We took a little straw poll, particularly with David Elliott, on a number of the foundation issues that cropped up. And the topics were, and the ones who have been involved in the council in the past will know them. They're old chestnuts in the sense, Rotary Kids programs coming out from South America, that we should make them a formal Rotary organization. People wanting additional recognition for donations to the foundations, which was coming out from India, for example, and lots of things where we used to have the 100% match for district funding from the foundation, which is now been reduced. They want to reinstate the 100% match and things like that. So all those sort of things came up and were similar to what's come up in the past. So those were voted on by Martin and myself, and that's where we are really. And any questions? Hi, Jim.
So you're saying that there are 44 enactments that are going to be voted on at the council?
No, they're 86 for the council next April.
Okay, so there are 44.
And there were 44 of the resolutions.
Okay.
Yeah. By the way, when I did my training, Jim, one of the training videos has you starring in it.
Yeah.
I think you were a sergeant at arms or something. I think in one of the training.
For 5 years.
There you go. So you're famous.
Yeah.
Or infamous, one of the two.
Yeah. Living large.
I'm certainly looking forward to it because I can't imagine getting all that number of people together in a room. It's sort of bigger than the United Nations, isn't it?
Yeah, but the beauty of it now is that it's more focused. Before, you'd have, well, one year we had 212 that they were voting in a 4-day period. And so that's when they decided to take the resolutions out of the council.
Right.
Just have you vote on enactments rather than resolutions.
Okay.
So that really is a positive thing for the council.
Yeah, I can't imagine you keep your attention about going through all that period of time, to do it. But they've got us booked in from Sunday through till Thursday lunchtime anyway. So, because I was thinking, how are they going to make the time fit out for all those different things? Because a lot of them are not that significant in my opinion. That's come up, but anyway,
you'd be surprised at how significant they are when they get into a group.
Is that right? It's like a dog with a bone, is it?
Yeah. It
is. During my term,
yeah,
I was always surprised at how significant certain items are to certain cultures.
Right.
And like the Japanese will look for a very regimented result, and maybe the Swedes will say we don't care, and various. I mean, you can almost pinpoint around the room who's going to vote on what.
Yeah,
and it honestly, I think it's in a way the best education I've ever had into Rotary.
That's very interesting you say that, Dennis, because it's that what you've just said there is very apparent when you read them and you see where they've come from.
Yes.
It's you can almost see the culture and the feelings of the people. And I've traveled around the world a little bit, so you know a little bit about that. But when you see them write them, you can see, as you say, the sort of systematic and regimented way the Japanese want things to be progress, and the more liberal and easygoing thing that certain parts of Scandinavia would do. And I totally get that, totally from reading them, and and it's like this big thing about Rotary kids groups all comes out of South America, so it's and it comes up every year, and then you have the people into nuclear disarmament coming out of Winnipeg and places like that, and have a big thing about that. So it is interesting, what's and and I've only been doing it for 2 years now, but you see them rephrasing. They get turned down at one thing and then they come back with it and rephrase it in a different way, but it's actually the same argument.
Yeah.
Good. Anybody else want to say anything about
just a question? Do you think that was sent out to the members of the district?
I thought it was. Because I sent it. Yeah. So on Club Runner.
Can it be posted on the website or I don't remember. I may have gotten it, and I'm in the middle of budget time, so it's sure something could have missed, but it'd be nice to see it.
Yeah. I can. Well, the simplest thing would be to link our website, Dennis, to who does our website now? Is it Martin?
Well, Martin does. I'm kind of helping him out when he's traveling.
Okay. Well, if you could do a link from from our website to the council's page, it has everything on it. It'd only be one URL link you'd have to put in.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Thank you.
I'll do that this weekend.
Thank you very much.
Spare time.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand the spare time.
You got nothing better to do, Dennis.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you've got no snow to shovel, Dennis, so it's not like here.
I don't have to shovel. That's right. Okay.
Okay. Thank you all for that. RLI is the next item, and Mike's the person in charge of that now from Diane. So I asked him for a report, but I haven't got one. So do you know anything, Catherine?
I don't actually know much about what's going on with RLI. I've missed the last couple of sessions on that. So I know Mike's on his way to Chicago this weekend, and I'm sure he'll be happy to send a report along when he gets back. Yeah.
Okay. So that brings us nicely then to any other business for the good of Rotary. Does anybody want to share anything, ask anything?
Can I ask about something that's been happening a little bit lately?
Yes, Catherine.
Christmas parades. they seem to be a little bit contentious. Two different parades, and Tony, you'll know about one of them.
I know about both of them, actually.
Yeah, we're getting pushback about floats being rejected for reasons mostly about them being apolitical or religious. And it's a kind of a tough one, particularly on the religious side, because Christmas is, you know, kind of a religious holiday. So uh, anybody have experience with this? I mean, I keep going back to the code of policies and, you know, getting a little help from my friend ChatGPT on how to politically correctly answer.
I just to help you, I got caught up in both the arguments, one by accident and one by because I'm in the locality. The Port Elgin, which is the neighbouring town to Southampton, the parade is organised by the Sorgin Shores Rotary Club, and they had a request from a pro-Palestinian group.
Mhm.
Basically to use it as a platform to protest about the invasion of the Israelis into, you know, the West Bank and all, and that, and it was essentially to promote their cause.
Yeah.
And I got involved because we're a neighbor and we would have a float in the thing as well. So we were contacted by the Sorgin Shores Rotary Club to make us aware of the issue because people were projecting social media about Rotary rejecting them.
Yeah.
So what happened was, to my understanding, Catherine might know a little bit more, is both the mayor of the town and the police said it was inappropriate to do it. And so they were denied access to the parade.
My
So
understanding was that they both said it's not our call. It's up to you as the Rotary Club, was what I understood.
Yeah, but it was the Rotary Club then that decided what to do.
Yeah.
But the police supported that they wouldn't include them.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote back to the Sorgin Shores Rotary Club and said, you know, I would support them in that view because it's a fun, friendly, family orientated thing. It isn't a vehicle for a protest movement because it was a protest demonstration. So, and they said they'd got advice from Catherine, and they were very pleased that you gave them advice, Catherine, and I gave them some advice, you know, as well. And it all turned out, and there was no issue until a day or two later, and I had a phone call from the radio station in Wingham, which covers this area, and they had wanted to know the story. So I referred them to the Sorgin Shores Rotary Club. Anyway, they had a conversation with them, and the radio station then ran a poll on the radio station or on social media, I don't know which basically said, do you agree with the Rotary Club of Sorgin Shores denying these people to enter the parade, or do you think they made a wrong decision? So it was either yes or no. And my understanding is, and I didn't see the poll, but my understanding from the club was that 90% of the people said that the club had made the right decision, and 10% said they didn't. So, you know, you go with that. But I mean, again, it was a story that he wanted to trace. Now, the other one that was a completely polar opposite parade, and that was, I think it was Hanover, was it?
Yeah, Action for Canada.
Yeah, the Action for Canada, and they are, what's the best way to describe them, as a right wing?
Well, yeah, think shutting down Ottawa for a week with big trucks, big rigs.
Yeah, that's the same group of people. Yeah,
that group.
So, and I don't know what happened at Hanover, by the way, but I know only because I was talking to one of the members of Hanover, and they just casually asked me, and I was talking about something completely different, and then the subject cropped up. So, you know, I don't know what they finally decided to do. But I shared with them, well, you need to talk to the police, and you need to talk to the town because you have this. So, do you know what they actually did at the end?
I'm not. I think that they were. The last I heard, they were not going to accept they float, but I didn't hear that was the final
No,
decision.
I've never heard back from them, but they
I
did
had
because I was talking about something else that we did have a interface, and I would say if you can find a way of not to have them in the parade, you should, but it's
right.
very difficult because in reality, in parades of this type, people can make an entry online and then turn up and protest, and you're stuck with it then. So it's a very difficult thing because you don't know when people fill in a club or an event application that they are necessarily somebody is not what you'd typically expect to find in a Christmas parade.
I think the biggest challenge that I faced, and she's the reporter has published her piece as an opinion piece today, but she sent me a note, can we have a chat? I really didn't want to have a chat with her because I understood that she had already given, and she was not an unbiased reporter. She was definitely pro having the float in the parade. So I sent her my email. She responded with like 8 different questions, and I decided rather than to choose and to answer every one of them, that I would come up with another sort of reiteration of my same. We're an apolitical organized, and I didn't talk non-denominational. I said we're apolitical. We don't want to be seen as showing preference of one or over another. And she sent me back, thank you very much for that, and kept asking the questions. And so I just stopped answering at one point, but it felt wrong to ignore her because then I didn't want Rotary to be painted as non-responsive. But at the same time, I was not going to answer a question about why did Rotary publicly denounce Hamas bombing in Gaza and then not say anything about Israel. And I thought, I can't, that has nothing to do with our parade. Yeah. The parade's supposed to be a festive, joyous occasion, and political floats have no place in our Christmas parade. But I really struggled with when enough was enough.
Yeah, I totally get that. So I've talked enough of this. Is there anybody who can offer some advice to Catherine from your experience?
I'm the first district governor to ever have this happen. It's amazing. Yeah.
Well, obviously, we're living in a very strange world now.
Yeah.
And I think this will all go away when our incoming president makes Canada the 51st state. You hadn't heard that?
Dennis, I don't believe you just said that.
Well, that's exactly what he told Trudeau when they were talking about the
yeah, I know.
A
lot of Canadians aren't happy about that joke.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry. I meant it as a joke. Listen, there are people, me being one of them, that are very concerned about what's happening
no joke
in our
for
country.
Us. It's no joke
also
for
you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the good news is that you'll find that a lot of it's gas. We hope.
I hope so too.
I think there's a lot of people right now looking for a fight. Doesn't matter what it is. And
yeah, I think you're right.
I think you were right, Catherine, and just, sticking to the point, don't get involved in the other stuff because you're right. It's not in our lane. That's somebody else. I'm sure we wouldn't have come up with, a statement with regard to a political action individually. And I don't know where that came from, if it actually came from Rotary International or if it came from...
It was on the Rotary International page. I sourced it out and I could find it.
Okay. But that's not us.
Exactly. At the end of the day, pro-Palestinian float has no place in a Santa Claus parade, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that is the point, but they obviously made a big issue of it. Yeah.
Oh, I think if I counted the emails from this woman, I think I got 8 in total.
Yeah.
In addition to 2 phone calls that I didn't answer.
Yeah. Where was it published, by the way?
I'm sorry?
Where was it published?
Hang on a second. She just sent me this. Saugeen Shores Hub.
Oh, right. It's an online newspaper, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, she's got all about genocide and
Yeah.
Okay, well, just if anyone has any thoughts going forward on how I might handle that situation differently, I'm all
I
in.
do. I think you should handle it the same way.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
I would
And
agree.
Catherine says, well, I won't.
Me?
Yeah. And Catherine says, well, I won't be around next Christmas when they're doing the floats.
Exactly.
But Jeff, you might want to have a message. When you pass on the baton to Jeff, you might want to just
Okay. Forward any further thoughts to Jeff.
Yeah. No, but it's unfortunate you had to deal with it, and as I think Dennis is right, it's a sign of the times, isn't it? Unfortunately, that you get in these things, and and we have to, I think, just play straight back to them, really, because we are a non-political, a particular organisation, so it's very difficult, but because I got embroiled in the discussion with both clubs over it, so because I'm not that far away,
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Good. Anything else for the good of Rotary? There's perhaps one very minor thing. Well, it's minor thing, but Dennis will be fully aware of this. Is that Club Runner is going through an evolution and going to launch a new product called Nova, starting this month, in fact, and they're going to roll it over progressively over the next 12 months. So I was at a presentation of it. Well, I've done a couple of presentations, but I was on earlier this week, and it's looking very good going forward. And so just to be aware of, really, that it's happening, and there's sort of roughly a 12-month window where you have to convert from the existing product to the new product, and they're looking for people at the moment to be the first tranche of people to transfer from the existing to the new.
Yeah, I'm going to do it for a Genesee Valley club.
Good.
And so I'll be in that group.
Oh, good.
So,
I know to call them.
Yes, if you can share information, I think that at the district, we're not going to jump on beta right now. I think we might just sit back for a little bit. So if you have any feedback that you would like to share, Dennis, I would love to hear it.
Oh, sure. Be glad to.
Yeah. So
I don't know if I got that from the meeting. I thought it was just going to evolve and not necessarily have to convert.
I think I want to say it was after February. It automatically moves forward.
My impression was that they're going to progressively do it. They're going to invite you to do it, but if you haven't done it by this time next year, you'll have no option. They'll automatically cut you over to the new version. But I think you're right, Jim, in a sense that a lot of the functionality will not be there in the first iteration. It's going to progressively come.
Yeah.
But from what they said, the software they're now using makes it much easier for them to develop it, and they can do it more rapidly. So I think going forward, certainly I think in 9 or 12 months time, it will be completely different than it currently is. The website is the last thing they're going to touch. It's more the user interface that you get, and then secondly, they're going to move into making sure that the event thing is more attuned to something like Eventbrite or something like that, which a lot of clubs use, and they're really trying to say we want a piece of that action. So rather than having to use Bambora as their financial vehicle and transaction vehicle, they're opening up to people like Stripe and other companies. So they are marching forward, and because I think if they didn't, they would lose out really badly. So I think it's a good thing. It's just going to be a bit painful for one or two of us over the next few months.
We're using cloud events in Club Runner for our conference, and so far my IT guy is really happy with what's going on there. It's pretty seamless. in terms of gathering the payments and the registration, and it's all been, he's really impressed with how it works.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So, and just again, for me, how do you use cloud as opposed to the normal?
So when you go into your events, it's one of your options. Yeah.
Oh, it is cloud. Does it call it cloud events?
It's called Cloud Events. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, check it out. It's like I said, we're having no issues with it for the registration for the conference.
Yeah, and again, it's available now, but you don't realize it, and that's the new product Nova. So the most obvious sign of it will be when you get a new dashboard, when you open up and you get your own dashboard and picks. So you won't have all these clumsy things on the top bar. They'll be down the left-hand side in a more traditional, well, not a traditional, but more modern way of doing it. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Well, I going to ask Catherine, what time is the District Governor Council penciled in at your conference?
I believe we're going to do 10-ish.
10-ish
on the Friday.
Yeah.
We're gonna have it in the Diva Den, and then we'll have lunch.
Right.
In the Diva Den.
Diva Den. There you go.
Oh, you haven't been to the Diva Den?
No.
Oh, just you wait.
You have to share it with a car.
No, by May you won't. They'll be up by May. Anyway, that's the plan, is to have our gathering there and a luncheon, and then because the conference doesn't start till 4.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that our RI presidential rep will join us, but I don't know who that is yet, so that's to be determined.
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Thank you all very much. With that, I will formally declare the meeting closed. Thank you for everybody. It's a small gathering, but a good gathering nevertheless. And if I don't see you before, I'll see you at the district conference.
Yes.
And have a great Christmas and a happy New Year.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Merry Christmas. Bye.
Bye-bye.